This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Language Blend, the new best way to learn Spanish. Language Blend focuses on what you actually need to live and get by abroad with daily one-on-one lessons, a dedicated texting partner. It's like living in a Spanish-speaking country without ever leaving home. Go to languageblend.com for more information. Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. My guest today is Gaetan from Business on Afrique. He's a French entrepreneur that I first found out about on Twitter, and he's kind of doing what we're doing in Latin America, but for the French and African market, specifically in West Africa. He was most recently spending time in Togo, and in this episode, we're going to learn a lot about business opportunities in Africa and particularly in West Africa. Gaetan, welcome. How's it going?
Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just got back to France.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
This morning, yeah, good
So,
weather, so it's kind of positive, even if I wanted to stay in Africa.
nice. So we're in the same time zone because I'm in Italy at the moment. So 8 p.m.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Italy is nice.
Good, good. I just busted out the wine. So once we get maybe 45 minutes into the episode, I'll start dropping some French, some
Yeah,
drunken
great.
Canadian French.
No problem.
Are you familiar with Canadian French? Do you ever
Absolutely.
see like Quebecois guys in Africa?
Not in Africa, but I did my first task as a copywriter for the Canadian market, especially the French Canadian market in Quebec. So yeah, their language is amazing. Their French is amazing. It's a little bit different. I would say 95% of the language is actually the same. But they are speaking a way more better French than us in France. It's complicated to understand, but yes.
Better
So
French. Canadian French is
yes,
better.
they speaking sometime old French expressions that we don't use anymore in France, because in France right now we tend to anglicize our language sometime,
Hmm.
where in Quebec they just want to keep the French word for everything. So it's funny.
Right, right, right. Like in France, they'll say parking, and in Quebec, they'll say stationnement.
Yes, and for example, when you talk about roads, etc., we have stop sign in France where it is written stop, and in Quebec it's arrêt. So it's purely French.
Nice. And remind me, how old are you, man?
26.
26. Cool. So younger guy making his way in Africa. How? Just I guess give us the whole background story,
Well,
but
yeah,
a short version of it about how you kind of ended up adventuring and looking into business opportunities in Africa.
sure. So first off, I grew up in the suburbs of Paris, and the suburbs of Paris is the first spot for the African immigration in France, migrants in France. So basically, in my schools, from college to high school, etc., I went to school with some African people, um, and I learned some things from them, etc. And I was interested because I love geography and history so much. So I decided to take my first ticket in Africa, my first flight in Africa. After that, when I was 18,
Well,
I went to Senegal, a French-speaking country in the West Africa. And then I went back to France. It was during a week. It was beautiful. I loved the energy there. Um, People were simple, cool, and when you are coming when you are coming from Paris, it's different. So when people are smiling at you for no reason, and you are coming from Paris, it's like it's a gift. So I love the vibe in Senegal. Then I get back to France to work and etc. And then I met my girlfriend, who is also from Western Africa. We met in France, but she is from a little country between Ghana and Nigeria called Togo, a French-speaking country, and she was originally from there. So based from that, I decided to move every year to Togo to meet the family there,
hmm,
and since then it's a great experience.
cool, cool. So I'm just doing the math. You're 26 now.
Yeah.
How long you been with your girlfriend in, I guess,
It's been
visiting Western Africa?
yeah, it's been 4 years now. 4 years. And
Okay.
actually, I just did 3 or 4 days ago the traditional African wedding in Africa.
With your girl.
Yeah, with my girlfriend and with the family as well in Africa.
Tell us about this.
Yeah, it was honestly a very strange experience for me as a European because I didn't went to the capital to meet her family because her family is living in the north of the country, not too far from Burkina Faso, and it's honestly right now, sadly, a weird place with a lot of bad stuff going on there. Sadly, um, but it was the wedding, so I decided to took the risk. I had some members of my family around me to protect me, etc. And I was there. I did 8 years in the road in a in a one way road, uh, a bad road, honestly.
You did what on a road?
It was a bad. I drove
Oh, 8 hours.
for
Okay.
8 hours.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. It was a road filled with sand, etc. Like
Hmm.
etc. And then after 8 hours of driving, I arrived there in a little city called Kara, the second city of the country. And I met the family, etc. They sacrificed chickens for me, etc. So it was weird because I never saw that in my life, except in documentaries on TV. Um, and yes, we did a great meal. We did the wedding there, the traditional wedding. So she was dressed like his tribe used to dress decades ago. Like no, right now, a lot of people in Africa are dressing like Europeans, etc. But sometimes during events, they are
Hmm.
dressing like their ancestors.
Right.
So my girlfriend, well, dressed like this. I was dressed like this as well to be accepted, and yes, it was a great experience. And so yesterday, sadly, I went back to Lomé, the capital of Togo, and I just took a flight to France to go back to France because I had to go to the hospital.
Okay. Crazy. And
Yeah.
did any of your family from France come down for the wedding?
Sadly, no, because they are working in France and they cannot take holidays for this kind of wedding. But for the French wedding, what we call the traditional wedding in our European point of view, it will be in France, so they will be present in there. Um, but they are not scared anymore of go to Africa, etc. Because a lot of French are thinking that Africa is dangerous to go for tourism, etc. Right now, I think I opened their mindset about this, and honestly, where I went, except in the north of the country where I did the wedding, I never felt any anger against me, any dangerous thing against me, honestly. And I would say Togo in 80% of the country is actually more safe than France, for example. So you won't have any problem there. Honestly, you won't feel any pressure extra. So yes, a lot of French, even in my family, wants to go visit Africa right now.
Hmm. And if you could repeat that, would you just say that parts of Togo are actually more safe than France?
I would say 80% of the Togolese territory is more safe than France, because you don't feel any pressure, etc. But sadly, in the extreme north of the country, where there is savanne, so it's the desert, honestly, you can have some terrorism, sadly. So you
Hmm.
need to totally avoid this area, and it will be good because I believe their army will protect this territory soon. So I pray for that, and yes, I would like to tell to people who want to go there, just avoid the extreme north of the territory in the desert, and then you will be safe in 80 or 90% of the territory.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely makes sense. Um, and I guess for people that aren't aware, because we do have a majority American speaking audience,
Yeah,
or sorry, American audience, and so an English speaking audience, and so they might not know the intricacies of West Africa, and they might be surprised to learn that a large portion of Africa is French speaking. Could you kind of
absolutely.
just break down, I guess, at a high level, how many
Yeah.
countries are French speaking, and just kind of explain that they all kind of maintain cultural and
Mm,
economic connections with
yeah.
France and Europe?
Yeah. So basically, in Africa, you have 54 countries. From North Africa, uh, you can call that the White Africa and the Black Africa, or the Sub-Saharan Africa as well. You have 54 countries, and in 24 countries they are speaking French due to the colony, to the past, etc., to the history. And I would like to add also that in Western Africa, it's simple. You have dozens of countries where they are speaking either French or English. Like, for example, my neighbors are the Ghanaians in Ghana, and I recommend you to visit Ghana, honestly,
Hmm.
because it's totally safe and it's a really developed country in Africa. Accra is beautiful. They are speaking English there. In Nigeria, they are speaking English as well.
Hmm.
So I am between Ghana and Nigeria, where they are speaking English. But all the countries, and sometimes the I would like to say the unknown countries for a lot of people, like Togo, like our neighbors from Benin, Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, etc. They are speaking French. They are learning French at school. Um, in all their official, I would say, administrations, they are speaking and learning French. So
Hmm.
their French is perfect. But in their home, most of the people are speaking their ethnicity languages. So I am able to understand one of them actually. Um, so yes, speaking French and English in Africa will give you the power to be understood by more than to be understood by more than 90% of the people in Africa,
Hmm.
because there is a few countries as well who are speaking Spanish and Portuguese as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, speaking French in Africa is a huge, huge, huge asset.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 24 countries, but it's
Yeah,
definitely a lot.
definitely. You have the whole northern part of Africa, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia,
Hmm.
um, where they are speaking French mostly in schools, in public administration, etc. They are also speaking Arabic. And then you have the sub-Saharan part of Africa, from that goes from Senegal uh, to South Africa, of course. But I would say the French speakers goes from Senegal to Congo, who was a Belgian colony where they are speaking French. You have 24 countries in this part of Africa, from Cameroon, Ivory Coast as well, Guinea, Conakry, Guinea, etc.
Hmm.
So they are speaking French, and yes, and honestly, I would like to say the same thing about them than the people from Quebec. In Africa, trust me, they are speaking a way more better French than in France. So it's complicated to understand, but they are speaking an old French with a lot of beautiful words, and that we don't use anymore in France, especially in Paris or in the big cities.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think you said that you've been learning the local African language
Yeah,
in Togo.
yeah, I had to be excited by by my family there. Yeah, so yeah, I am speaking Nauda. Nauda, originally the people from this tribe, so it's my girlfriend tribe, went from Nigeria hundreds of years ago, and they moved to Togo. So in their home and in their towns, they are speaking this language between
How do
themselves.
you spell it?
Nauda, Nawda, Nauda.
Now that. Okay, cool.
Yes. And yeah, I learned these languages. I don't have a great level, but I am able to understand it and to make basic. sentences about it. So they are always surprised, especially in little villages and towns, when I when I can answer the question. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm kind of trying to look it up, but yeah, it's like the
it's a little
Lasso people.
absolutely Loso. Honestly, it's the wrong name. It's the wrong name for this. Loso is a part of two tribes. You have the Lomba and the Nauda, right? But they are during the colony. A German guy went there to discover different ethnicity in Africa, etc., especially these tribes, and he thought that Nauda and Lamba were part of the same tribe, but we discovered years ago after that it was totally different, and their language and culture was different. So Loso is the term that you can find on Wikipedia, for example. Um, but when you are saying to them you are Loso, they are understanding this term. But if you are familiar with them, they will say no, it's the colon name, but it's not the same tribe. Loso is part of two tribe, and we are just one. Nauda.
Cool, cool. Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. BitRefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries, including the USA, Canada, all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. And so I noticed that on Twitter that you don't just talk about Togo, you really try to talk about uh, the West African region as a whole. Um,
Absolutely. Yes.
could you tell us a little bit more about that? I guess you've probably traveled extensively in the region,
Yeah,
and I guess there's economic ties within this region.
absolutely. Because honestly, if you want to see the best part of West Africa, you must visit the French-speaking countries there, but also the English-speaking countries. That's what I spoke about Ghana a minute ago, because Ghana is this is our neighbors, and there you can feel really a difference between Togo and Ghana. Ghana is more big in terms of territory. In terms of the territory, it's more big. You have more great hospitals there. You have more great things there. In general, in West Africa, the English-speaking countries are way more developed than the French ones. They are way more open-minded about business
Really,
than the French
I didn't
one.
know that because
Yeah,
Abidjan and Cote d'Ivoire is pretty developed.
Ivory Coast. Yes, Ivory Coast is actually, I would say, it is the first more developed French-speaking country in Africa. Ivory Coast.
Okay.
Yes, and you have Senegal, I would say, in the second place
Hmm.
with Dakar. But Togo, Benin, Guinea-Conakry, Burkina, Mali, it's it needs to be developed. For example, I will speak. I will be honest. If my Togolese family has health issues, they will prefer to do 8 hours of driving to go to Accra in Ghana to go to the hospital than to go in the hospital in Togo, sadly. Um, because even themselves, they will say yes, Nigeria, Ghana, or any English speaking country is more developed. They have way more better hospitals, schools, universities, and things like this. Yes, so this part of Africa, yes, I went to Benin, our neighbor, as well. I went to Benin, I went to Senegal, and I went to Ivory Coast. And in Ivory Coast, especially in Abidjan, the capital, not the capital, the I would say the
Biggest city.
yeah, yeah, the biggest city. Um, you can really feel a difference in Abidjan because you have some buildings, not large buildings like in the NYC or anything, but you can have buildings, you can have great, honestly developed things that you don't have, for example, in Benin, where you can really feel that it needs to be developed, and right now it is on the way to be developed. So it's positive, and yeah, yes, in West Africa you can have a lot of different um, side of development.
Hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Um, I guess a random question, but I'm surprised to hear that Cote d'Ivoire is more developed than Senegal, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
why that might be.
Well, honestly, Ghana, the neighbor of Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, um, was called during the colony the Gold Coast, and Ivory Coast is La Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast,
Hmm.
etc. And this region, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, were full of resources, especially gold. But for example, they are making a lot of chocolate in Cote d'Ivoire,
Mm.
coffee, coffee as well. Yes, in Senegal it's different. You have Dakar, the
It's dry
great
though.
city. Yeah,
It's,
it's dry
it's like
as
a
well. It's
desert.
dry as well. Yes,
Yeah.
you have the desert. For example, in Senegal you have the sea part, the ocean part. Sorry, and then on the real land when you go on your way to Mali, it's complicated there. Honestly, it's complicated because the weather is it's very hot. It's the deserts, the Saharas. It's not far from Sahel, Sahara, so you can have 40 degrees, 45 degrees sometimes. So it's Celsius degrees, and yeah, it's complicated, especially in the lands when you are going back to the lands and not on the side of the ocean. Dakar is it's a great city actually. I like to recommend this city for for my French community on Twitter who wants to travel for the first time in Africa.
Hmm.
I like to recommend this city and Abidjan as well in Ivory Coast. I like to say that these two cities are the most tourism friendly
Hmm.
cities in French speaking country in the French speaking countries in
Do
Africa.
you guys need a visa, the French people, for to visit Cote d'Ivoire and some of these African countries? Because I've looked
Um,
into it a little bit, and
yeah,
I noticed that I needed a visa to visit a lot of these countries. Sometimes it was visa on arrival; it wasn't too bad, but it was
yeah,
still some extra steps.
yeah. So, for example, in Togo, in last September, they had a visa for the French. Before, you just need your passport. You were able to go there without any problem. But in last September, they had a new visa, an e-visa. So it's a visa that you can pay for, I would say, 50 Canadian bucks. And yeah, it's around 38 euros.
Mhm.
And you can go there for a month, three
Is
months.
it on arrival, like in the airport, or you have to do it beforehand?
No, on the internet
Yeah,
before
yeah,
going
yeah.
to the
It's
airport.
like you have to book your flight and then
Yeah,
submit your flight info, and
yeah, you
then
have to go to the government website,
yeah.
and that's it. It's an online visa. Uh, but since September in Togo, you are only authorized to go to Togo if you are doing it as a French. But Ivory Coast and Senegal and so right now, honestly, we have French-speaking countries due to politics where it's kind of complicated as a French to go there with an online visa. But when you are going to the country, honestly, with the people, you don't have any pressure or problem, nothing. It's just politics. So Togo was decided to put a visa. Mali and Burkina Faso decided to put a visa. Ivory Coast and Senegal are still free, visa free for the French.
Hmm.
Yes, but this part of Africa is moving right now. So yeah,
Cool. Have you been to
they
Mali?
yeah. I went at the border, honestly, at the Senegalese border. But honestly, Mali, it's
Damn,
hot.
Mali
It's too
Senegal border. What the hell were you doing there?
buying lands. I was
Buying
buying lands.
land.
Yeah, I was in Tambacounda, Senegalese city. Um,
Okay.
not far from the border.
Yep.
It's a big city actually.
Yep.
And I remember there it was one of the first time I went to Africa, and the people were looking at me so with a lot of curiosity, honestly, especially the babies, the kids. They were touching my skin. I was like, oh, okay. And I spoke with the people and they said like French people there, white people, it's very rare. So I understood, and the people were super friendly. Yeah, and I want to add honestly that in Africa, the people are super friendly as long as you are respectful. Like
Yeah,
you don't have to have any fear, honestly.
for sure. And just as a matter of housekeeping, are you like 100% French, or I had a feeling you might be like part North African?
No, honestly, I don't know the my father origins. But it looks very Mediterranean. Yeah. So I like to say in my mind, oh, maybe I'm from Italy, maybe I'm from North Africa. Yeah, it's classy, so I like to say, oh, Italy, maybe. Yeah, but no. And my mother was Belgian, but I they decided they met in Paris, and we grew up in Paris. So I consider myself as 100% French, and of course I look Mediterranean. So I don't know from which part. Um, but I speak with my hands like an Italian or North African. So,
All right.
yeah,
Well, we'll have to get you a DNA test at some point,
yeah,
and
sure, yes,
we'll come back to this land purchase because we definitely want to dive into that. I think that's one of the things most
yeah,
people are most interested in this episode, and I actually want to just drill down on that big time in terms of the business, the buying
yeah,
land, the financing opportunities, things like that. I had one or two more housekeeping questions before we got there. So when you're going to these countries, be it Senegal or you know, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, etc., are
yeah,
you are you kind of like, what are you doing in terms of um, having contacts on the ground? Like, do you have people from back in Paris, back in France that maybe they
yeah,
have a cousin and then you're hooking up with the cousin
absolutely.
and all that type of stuff? Or are you like, because you've been kind of saying it like you've been Lone Ranger style, like you solo, two solo, but like I
No,
really, but I imagine you're trying to do your best
sure, of
to
course.
kind of, because like you grew up with all these people and
Yeah,
like a very multicultural
absolutely,
city in Paris, and you could definitely leverage that.
absolutely. So, yeah, it's funny that you said that because, for example, yesterday in the plane, I met a guy from Togo who grew up in Paris. I didn't know this guy, but he said I follow you on Twitter, so I was surprised.
Oh
Yeah,
shit!
yeah, crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So he decided to join my membership, so it was great. But yes, of course, I have ties. Of course, in Togo, for example, I have my family ties with my Togolese family. Um, in Senegal, I had we call this in France diaspora. I don't know if you use this word in
Yeah,
maybe
diaspora. Yeah,
the diaspora.
yeah.
So of course, from Paris, going to Senegal, I met a lot of Senegalese people in France. They told me, "Oh, you can meet my brother there, my cousin there,"
Hmm.
and I grew up with these people, so I felt safe at the time, and it was totally safe. So during my first move in Africa, in Senegal, I was I met some great people from a family that I knew in France. So it was great. In Benin and Togo, I consider honestly Benin and Togo as really brother countries.
Hmm.
So I feel as much as as I feel great in Togo and Benin as well without any problem. I have family ties there in these two countries. In Cameroon, of course, in Cameroon, I have a lot of ties from the diaspora in Paris who told me you can go there. You have my father there. You have etc. So yes, I am not alone, especially in the countryside, because even if I feel safe, I just like to be surrounded by locals, of course. So yeah, when I went to these different countries, I was always surrounded by ties from the diaspora that I had in France.
Okay, cool, cool. So you went to Cameroon. Have you been to Congo?
Not yet, not yet, not yet. The Republic of Congo, was a French colony, I didn't went, and my dream, one of my dreams, is to go to the old Belgian colony, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the
Yeah,
large part of the Congo,
Kinshasa.
um, absolutely Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, etc. And Yeah, I want to go there because I just
Okay.
love their food.
And I just kind of wanted to mentally get a picture. So I'm assuming no Rwanda, no Central African Republic, no Chad. I'm guessing no Niger. I'm
No,
guessing.
no, no, no. Honestly, right now, if you want to go to Africa as an accidental guy from Europe or North America, I suggest you to avoid the Saharan, the Sahara, the desert, the
Hmm.
Sahel Sahara countries um, for different reasons. Of course, for your safety as well, and because these countries right now are not safe. Honestly, you have a lot of tough weather. Honestly, it's 40, 45 degrees, etc. And government is changing sometime there. So right now, so it's complicated. But the countries in Africa where they have, I would say, an ocean part are totally safe. Are totally safe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's great because the weather is not that much tough near the ocean, so
Cool. Cool.
it
Cool.
can help.
Okay. So you've just been holding it down in West Africa. Got it.
Yeah.
And one more kind of housekeeping question. And so when you're doing your visits, are you always flying in, or are you dealing with the land borders? Because the land borders in West Africa are notoriously difficult.
Sure, sure. First off, at the borders, you have to be conscious that you have to keep your cash with you because you always need to use your cash with the agents, etc.
Hmm.
Always. So it helps to have cash on you, of course. It's not something that we are used to in Europe or in North America, I think. But you have to keep your cash if you want to pass the border very easily. Just get cash on you, and it's simple. Or make jokes. Be respectful and make jokes with the police officer, etc. And it works. For example, from Ghana to Togo, it works if you have cash and you are respectful and you are not a threat to the country, of course.
Hmm.
Yes, it's
How do you do the visa to get into Ghana? Is it like just at
no,
the
I have
border, or you do it beforehand?
no. You honestly you can do both. But for example, in Togo, you can have a single visa only for going to Togo, and then if you want to go to the neighbors country like Ghana, uh, or no, it's not a neighbor country, but Nigeria, for example,
Mhm.
you have to do another visa.
And then when
Um,
you want to go back to Togo, are you going on the same visa, or was that one
same
like a
same
single entry?
visa.
So it wasn't
Same,
single entry. You go on the same visa.
you have two. You have the both. You have multiple entries and the single one.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So if you want to go visit other countries, you have to go with the multiple one.
Okay, so multi entry
Yeah.
visa, cool. Do you want to just give us like a specific example of how it goes down? Like really, like paint us the picture of like you're in the van,
Yeah.
you're driving from Lomé, you're driving to Accra.
Yeah.
Just like paint us
So
the picture.
so honestly, Lomé, the capital of Togo, is actually at the border. So you have to drive. I would say from the airport 20 minutes to go to Ghana. At the border, they will check your passport. They will talk to you, make jokes with you, make special sentences like, "Do you have something for us? Do you have a gift for us?" Yes, it's like that, honestly. So I am able to do this, and sometimes they are saying to me, like the last time they told me, "Oh, you don't have any gift for us, but I know that you have your suitcases in the back." I was like, oh my god, yeah. So take this cash and that's it. So most of the time it's like this. So yes, they are cool people. Honestly, they as long as you are not a threat, they are cool. They just know that a lot of Europeans going there are paying them to be, and it's more easy, honestly, to pay them because there.
And how much are we paying? Like, what are we talking?
I would say it can goes from 2000 CFA, so around I would say 3 or 4 euros, uh, to 5,000. I would say it's not that much, but
Talking like
it
five,
just
$7.
Yeah,
to cross the
yeah,
border a little bit
yeah. But
easier.
sometime, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not only at the border; it's everywhere when you meet policemen, police
it's like
officer. Yeah,
$5 per guy, but there's like five guys.
absolutely. And sometime in one day you can meet, yeah, five police officer. Yeah, so it's a thing that can tire. You can be tired of this, honestly. But honestly, right now in Togo, they are pretty cool. Honestly, as long as you're respectful, you just have to accept their mindset and their
Right.
culture.
I
Yeah,
my understanding, and I'm actually kind of warming up for an Africa trip myself, which is why I'm kind
yeah.
of partly asking this stuff.
I would suggest you Ghana, Accra, especially.
Yeah, yeah. I have a buddy in Accra actually.
Yeah,
But it's like they just pull you over for no reason at all,
absolutely.
and
It's
then it's just
absolutely
and then they just keep messing with you until you pay them.
one interesting thing is that when I am with local people, they are much cool. I would say they can let you without any tip, you know, but you have to let the local speak. But if you are alone as an accidental, no, they want they want their money.
Mhm. Do you ever like pay for tour guides as well, or not a tour guide, but like a
Yeah,
day? I don't know, just like a local guy on the ground, just be like, "Yo, $20 a day, make my
yeah,
life easier."
yes. One of my friends from Togo is actually a tour guy. He is able to go to Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and Ghana. Um, he is actually a TEDx speaker. He did a podcast there. Um, and yes, I did it one time for the first time in Togo
Hmm.
with my girlfriend because she grew up in Togo, and then after 18 years old there, she decided to go to the university in France. Then we met, and then she spent a few years without going there. So we decided to hire this guy for a week, and yeah, it was great. Honestly, the tour guy are showing you the greatest spots to go to discover, etc. And of course, it's actually a mental safety because it will not put you in some bad places, for example.
Cool, cool. Switching gears a bit, are
Yeah.
you familiar with Mark Zola?
Oh, Mark Zola. Oh, no, no, I don't know.
You're laughing. Do you? You know Mark Zola?
No, no.
Okay, okay. Mark Zolo is another guy. He's on Twitter as well, and
Okay,
he wrote a couple books about his adventures in Africa. Um, so pretty well. It's an Irish. He's an Irish guy that's pretty
okay.
well traveled in the region, and was pretty famous for doing a bunch of overland travel in Africa. And so I thought maybe you might have known about him just
No,
because.
no. I will follow him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just type in Mark Zolo, Zolo.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, very well versed in Africa, and I feel like Gaetan, that you actually got a little bit of inspiration maybe from myself and how I do things, and
Absolutely. And
maybe also
it's
from you.
funny. It's funny that in your introduction you said I am doing the same job as you, but in Africa. Because honestly, that's what I was thinking since 2 or 3 months. Honestly, I was saying, oh, but this guy, it's like if you are seeing the world map, you guys from Northam are just moving to the south.
Yep.
Well, so we did the same with Europe, and how south is Africa. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Because people ask me, they say, who is the My Latin Life of Asia? Who's the My Latin Life of Africa? Who's the guy for Central Asia? And that's kind of partly why I wanted to have you on because I'm rooting for you, I'm cheering for you. I want to see you grow into maybe the Africa guy,
Yeah.
and just hear more about your story
Sure.
and just kind of connect that way. And I think it's a good angle, even in the way that you do your tweets. Sometimes I can kind of tell that there's like an inspiration there, where it's like low
Absolutely.
cost of living. Here's the food, blah blah blah.
Yeah. I tend to create business content about Africa, and yeah, sometimes it's only about tourism. just because there are people who are just interested in going to Africa for tourism. So I am thinking about this city, type of type of food that you can have there, type of rent, etc. Yeah. So basically, I am totally free on Twitter. So I don't have any business plan on Twitter. Actually, I'm just free. I just write what I think, and that's it.
No, no, I like it because you're really like showing photos on the ground and
Yeah.
kind of how it is. And there's
Yeah.
really just not enough of that. Like I've seen a little bit of like Instagram reels. Like there's this one guy. I don't know if you know his name, but I did see this one American guy that I think married like a Nigerian girl or something, and
Okay.
he's been kind of traveling around the African continent and being like, showing the markets and stuff
Yeah.
recently, who's like really big. I wish I knew his name. Um, but yeah, you see a bit of it, but obviously it's like severely under documented in general, Africa.
Mm,
And so that's why, like, the more that you can just document it, um, you're going to be one of the first people to ever document things in a lot of ways.
sure. And honestly, on the French market, it surprised me that we don't have any guy in Africa on Twitter. Like it surprised me.
Right. I think you have a bit of like a good
Yeah, I have a
semi
boulevard. I have a boulevard
semi
in front of
you
me.
have a boulevard and you have a semi outsider's perspective because I feel like maybe a guy who's actually has roots in Western Africa might not
Yeah,
want to do it because he might think it's like a little cheesy, if you know the word cheesy.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And so he might be like he might feel embarrassed to do it, but for you it's like it's more of like an investigation and like a process of learning, and so it's like a different
yeah,
perspective.
absolutely. And I have 2 points of view right now. I have the African one and the European one. And Africa helped me a lot in my life, in my mindset, etc. Because right now I feel comfortable anywhere in France. Where years ago I was only, um, I was, talking about the government, etc. I was a French. I just was a French, and right now Africa. When I saw different places there, and I saw that the people didn't had a lot, but were able to smile and to be relaxed. I was like, oh wow, amazing. And I try to put this mindset even when I am in Europe, actually in my country in France. Um,
More
and I just like to
positivity.
say to the friends, yeah, they are very positive there in Africa. They are very cool, happy. They can do parties for anything. Yeah, so they are dancing for no reason. Just love this vibe, and I just tend to put that in France. But we also have our French mindset.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some overlap with Latin America in terms of we're coming from this place that's like a little bit um, uptight, and then we go to Latin America or Africa, and everyone's dancing, and it's
Yeah,
like more of a party and positivity and better family relations, and everything's about the family and just closer bonds between people, that kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing that make me the most weird was, for example, there is tribe in Africa where they are dancing at funerals. They are making parties at funerals. And in Europe, we don't have this mindset about funerals, for example. But for example, if you are more than 70 years old in different part of Africa, they consider that you are old and that you had a great life. So living more than 70 years old is considered as a gift.
They celebrate
Uh,
it.
yeah, they celebrate it. Absolutely, yes, with dancing, etc. So yeah, it showed me a new way of thinking. Honestly,
Cool. Yeah, definitely makes sense. Um, I wanted to just come back to Mark Zillow just to say that I was having dinner with him just the other day, and he
yeah,
said that he's been to Lome, and he said that
yeah.
Lome was one of his favorite cities in Africa, just in terms of
Mm.
all around, whether it be the party or the infrastructure. He said it was actually like legit a great city.
Yeah, and there is even for tourism, there is very nice and luxurious hotels. Um, it's a city that needs to party. Honestly, during during nights, you won't feel alone there during nights because there is clubs everywhere. There is African music, European music, US musics. Yeah, and the vibe of the people there is very positive and peaceful.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I love Coupe de Cali music.
Oh, Coupe de Cali. Okay, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which I guess is from Congo, but I think they listen
yeah,
to it kind of
absolutely.
everywhere in West Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a famous group in Africa called from Côte d'Ivoire called Magic System.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know Magic
Do you know?
System. Yeah.
And there is a song Premier Gaou, First Gaou, Premier Gaou, who
I
is
might know
known
it, but I don't know when it's
across
got the
Africa
African words. I don't really know.
because even if the song is in French, they are totally dancing to this song everywhere in Africa, even in Kenya, on the English in the English speaking countries, etc. And there is a lot of songs in Africa who are famous in the whole continent. So yeah,
Dude, I love Coupe de Cali. And if anyone's listening
yeah,
and they're like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
yeah,
I wouldn't
Coupe de Cali, yeah.
say it's like the equivalent of reggaeton in Latin America, but it's similar in the sense of being like sort of high energy party music. And
Absolutely,
when you listen to it, it's impossible not to raise your
yeah,
internal
yeah,
vibration and to not, just kind of get yourself going a little bit. It's like pretty high BPM and just like super fun music.
yeah, yeah, and just like you can have songs like this even only known in the country that you are in Africa
Hmm.
that are hits. They are hits. Honestly, they are just great music. You can dance even if you are a French tourist, an English tourist, whatever. Just can go to the hotel, just listen a few notes of the song and clap your hands. Honestly,
Yeah, bro.
I just love their vibe. Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to go to Cote d'Ivoire just to like hang out in the
yeah,
club, listen to Coupe de Cali, listen to
it's amazing.
like DJ
Yeah.
Kerosene, DJ Arafat, all these guys.
Rest in peace, Arafat. Yes, yes,
Magic
yes.
System.
Yeah, yeah. He is a legend. DJ Arafat was a legend from Ivory Coast. Sadly, he passed away 2 or 3 years ago due to a motorcycle accident in
Oh.
Ivory Coast.
Hmm.
But he is a legend, and he's a living legend, even if he is dead right now. Sadly, but yes, he revolutionized the music in Cote d'Ivoire and in the French-speaking country
And
of Africa.
I think it's really through the music that I realized how close of a connection all of
Sure.
West Africa and French speaking Africa has, because in the songs they would shout out the names of cities in different countries all over the region, right? Like they'll be
Right.
like Kinshasa,
Yes, of course.
Yaoundé.
Yeah, of course. And even if you are listening to the French actual modern music like rap, for example, most of the famous artists have roots in Africa. They are from Congo,
Hmm.
Cameroon, etc. And they are always putting in their lyrics some cities from there.
Right,
That's why
and
even
they'll
though
say cities even from the country they're not from.
absolutely. Africa is Africa. It's like, as a French, I would not say Brussels, Berlin, or
Right,
London, or
right. You'd be
whatever.
like, bro, t'es pas belge.
Sure, of course, yes. Je ne suis pas belge. Yes. But they just want to represent this continent. And yes, I just love their vibe, whether it's rap or African music, etc., pop music there. It's famous. And even Nigeria, I would say Nigeria also has some great artists,
Oh, of course.
like P Square, and Ghana as well, P Square, etc.
Wizkid.
Yes, of course, they have a huge vibe there. And Nigeria has its own vibe, different from the other. Yeah, and I believe in the potential of Nigeria in term of music, etc.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
Because everyone likes the vibe. It's definitely growing. It's like the next wave.
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you have, yeah, you just feel nervous, etc. You just are listening to these songs, and then you feel cool, you feel happy, you feel peaceful. Yeah, it gives you a smile.
Yeah, dude, the music is so funny for anyone listening. Well, we're gonna switch it up and talk about business,
Yeah,
but like it'd be so funny. It's like most of the song will be like in Lingala, which is like
yeah,
the, I guess, language of Congo, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. And then only the chorus will have like a little bit of French in it, and it'll
absolutely.
just be like all in Lingala, and then the chorus will just be like "Il faut enjailler, il faut
C'est ça.
enjailler,"
Yes, of
something
course.
like that. Just like a little bit of French, and it's just like enough. And I'll listen to it, and I'm just like not understanding anything, but the vibe is sick. And then
Yeah,
you get the chorus, and I'm
and
like, yeah.
sometimes the video clip are funny to watch also.
And the clips
Yeah,
are crazy.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, let's switch gears because we're already somehow 50 minutes into this, and
yeah.
let's talk about business. Um, yes. How the hell did you end up buying land in like rural Kenya or sorry, I'm tripping. Rural
Senegal.
Senegal, like a
Yeah.
second, like the second, third tier city in Senegal.
So right now, since I would say 2015, we have a movement in France from the diaspora, from the African diaspora, who tend to go back to Africa to buy lands. It was a reaction of them because sometimes Chinese and Indians were buying large towns of lands there, and just they said, "Oh, we will do the same because if they are buying lands in Africa, it's because it's interesting. So we will put our interest into that." And since 2015, I had friends from Senegal, Mali, etc., who decided to go back a few weeks or months in their own land to buy lands, and I was very interesting. I was very interested about this, so I did some research. Then I learned a big thing is that you cannot buy lands through internet in Africa because there is a lot of traps, a lot of scams, etc. So you have to go back. You have to go to the land, and most of the great deals about buying lands in Africa are unknown on the internet. So you have to go there. So I decided to go there. I had a friend who knew a notary from a city office
Okay.
there. And it was, I remember, my first land there was costed me 800 euros.
For how big
Uh,
of a piece of land?
uh, it's un lot, it's one lot, un lot. So
What's
you
that
can have,
like an acre?
no, no, it's more little. You can build an house there, and you can have a little part of the garden
Okay.
if you want to represent that. Or it's, I would say, the half of a soccer stadium.
Half a soccer stadium.
Yes, half of a soccer
Okay.
field.
Maybe it's like okay, okay. Enough to build a
Yeah,
house. Cool, cool. Keep going.
yeah. And then yes, I decided to go there. So it was near the border of Mali in Tambacounda. Yeah. And I decided to go there with a friend that I knew from the diaspora and a member of the diaspora, a local from someone from the diaspora that he knew, and he told me to go with him and a notary guy. And it's funny because it was the first time I went on a bike with two people, so we were three on a bike,
No.
on a motorcycle.
How
Yeah,
far?
we did. Honestly, it was crazy for me because the weather was too hot. We did around 40 minutes of driving. Yeah. And then we arrived in Tambacounda. Then we take another car and we took a pickup and we went to the field, to the land that I wanted to buy. Um, and then I decided to buy it. And I spent a couple of weeks there. I spent 1 week there. Then I went back to France, and the notary told me there is also another thing to pay, etc. So it was my first move in the real estate, I would say, buying lands there. And actually, I still have this land, this plot of land. I don't have any farming or anything there. It just grows. The grass is growing, etc. But it the value is ahead. There is an increasing value since a few years right now. So yeah.
Hey everybody. Quick break from the podcast to tell you about Language Blend, the best new way to learn Spanish. Language Blend was co-founded by Jake Nomada, friend of the podcast, decade of experience in Latin America, and Jake and his team, they put everything into this program that they wish they had in terms of how to level up quickly with your Spanish language skills. Because the faster that you can get conversationally fluent in Spanish, the better the experience that you're going to have in Latin America. So go to languageblend.com for more information. That's pretty cool. I think one thing I've noticed about buying plots of land in Latin America, even if it's just open grassland and you're just letting the grass
Yeah,
grow, is that there's the issue of squatters, and people can just start occupying your land, and it's going to be very difficult to get them off. Is that it? Is that it? Have you noticed that to be
yeah,
an issue? And
yeah. It is an issue that is very known in Africa as well. So the first thing is that you need to buy the land in the official way. So there is two things in Africa. You can be able to buy in the official way through the city office, through the notary, etc. Right, like in Europe or North Am, I think. But you also have the tribe lands, and they don't go to the city office to buy it.
Mhm.
They just have it through heritage, through their ancestors, and they are decided that it is their land because their ancestors were there, etc. So I always buy lands in the official way, with the city office, notary, the geometer guy, etc. So yes, it's an issue, but as long as you can put your name, you can put your name, like you can put a square with your name on it. And if you have enough money, you can be able to build a little wall, like a square wall. And right now you feel more safe. You just feel more safe, and you don't have any squatters or anything there. And you can also take benefits from some African country just by giving money to someone, like a cop from there, and you will be sure that no one will be in your land.
Mm.
So it's a thing that I do in Togo, for example. Like I have police officers that sometime I just pay, and they are every month or every weeks giving me reports. I would say just pictures of my lands, and I make sure that no one is growing their food or vegetables there, for example. Yeah,
Okay. So what's your current footprint? You just have that one lot in Senegal, and then
yeah,
I guess a bunch of stuff going on in Togo, and I guess that's it.
absolutely. Yeah, I have this land, this first land in Senegal. And it's been years that I didn't see it. And then I have, especially in one region in Togo, in the north central part of Togo, in Kara, in Togo, I have a few lands there. Actually, 1 week ago, I was in one of these lands. Um so this land, my project was to build a villa. So I will do this. I have some great workers there, and yes, it's especially yes in Togo, and I have this first land in Senegal.
Got it. So I guess the play so far has been to buy, I guess, empty lots or unused pieces of land and just allow them to appreciate and maybe sell them 5, 10 years down the road. Or have you done anything with like buying an existing apartment or existing building?
No, it just lands like just it's just land, and sometimes most of the sellers are people who inherit from this land, who got this land from their ancestors, and they just need cash and money. And sometimes when you go to the market there in Kara or Lomé, for example, you just hear news on, or you just write words on a piece of paper during the market when they are saying they are selling their land. You just have to call this number, and then it is the first step of the buying. But you have to make sure that it's totally safe, etc. In term of in term of official papers, etc. You have to go to the city office to make sure this land is at the right place. There is no debt in this land, etc.
Right.
So most of the land I buy them from hearing people in the market.
Okay. And is there a like a carrying cost? Or are you paying an annual property tax?
Yeah. Um, as long as there is no building in the land, you just pay for every year you pay your tax to the government, and that's it. And when you are buying a land and making a commerce there, a shop there, or anything, you have to of course pay different kind of taxes.
Hmm. Okay. And so what do you do when you're not on the ground? You have like an agent, a notary, a lawyer, an accountant
Yeah.
that pays the annual bills?
Um, I have the family there. I have the family there and locals there, friends there, uh, who make sure that the land is unoccupied. It's still my land. And yes, of course, sometimes I send them cash to pay the taxes, etc. But most of the time, I am paying employees because I want to build, for example, apartments, etc. Apartments is not a huge thing, honestly, in Africa. It's something new to Africans, even in the big cities. Apartments, they prefer to have homes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you are in Africa and in the capital city and you have buildings, you have to be conscious that it's something new for Africans to live in towers, for example.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you see yourself kind of expanding into buying maybe single family homes in Lome or in Kara?
Yes, yes, especially in Lome, because the people from the north are moving to the south for a better life or more jobs opportunities, etc. Um, so Lome has a huge potential in terms of real estate. Yeah, so yes, I am planning. I am planning. Um, so one thing that um, like make me very interested about buying lands in Togo was my family from there, my girlfriend family, my wife family, because they had at the time 7 or 8 lands and houses in Togo. So through them, I learned a lot in terms of real estate making deals there. So yes, my I would say one of my next goal is to buy a house or build a house in Lomé, the capital. I am actually building one in Kara,
Hmm. Tell us
and
about that. So you're
yeah,
building a house in Kara?
yeah. So for example, 1 week ago, I was there in the field with a worker, with an electrician guy who was also able to build houses. And I asked him a couple of questions about building a house, the structure, etc. Examples of what he did in the past, etc. And the time. Honestly, I would say one of the thing that scare most of the people in Europe about buying apartments or making building, I would say, houses in Africa is the time. Sometime when you are in Europe or North America and you want to build a house there in Africa, you don't have any reports there. So sometimes you go back to your land 2 years after, and there is only one little room that is built only. So it's slow, and when they don't feel that the owner is not really present, they can take their time, and it's something that I want to totally avoid, just to don't have any problems about this new villa that I am building. Um, so I have a couple of questions about this a week ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, he makes me safe with his answers, etc. So yeah, yeah, it's on the way.
And what's up with like building costs for a home in
Oh,
Togo
for
compared
example,
to?
I have an example. If you want a simple home, simple house in Togo, in North Togo, it starts, and your audience will be screaming, I think. Uh, it starts at 2,000 euro, 12,000 euros, a simple house, but it's simple. Then you have to put your IC, your AC. You have to put more rooms, bedrooms if you want, etc. But a one bedroom house in North Togo will start, the price will start at 12,000 euros. Yeah. So, and then if you want a better house, a more large house, from 20 to 30,000 euros, you can have something nice. And then around 100,000 euros, you can have a pretty cool villa with a swimming pool if you want. Um, yeah, with the AC and the optical fiber in a very great speed, high speed internet if you want. Um, yeah, in Africa, if you have money, you can do anything. Honestly,
Definitely makes sense. And so I guess maybe you're maybe developing that for your own family or something, or are you
yeah,
looking to do it specifically to rent out? And if it's the latter, yeah, are you looking into maybe buying, building houses specifically to rent out and get a bit of cash flow?
yeah, it can be a strategy as well. But this villa that I want to build is, I will say, it will be my property, and I want to live there, just to work from there. I would like to work on my computer with a nice view of of the desert. Just yeah. So this one will be my property, and I don't have any plans to for now to build houses to rent them.
Hmm.
Just keep in mind that in Africa, all the rents are paid in cash money.
Hmm.
So you have to be present there, or you have to be, or you need to have someone
Property manager.
absolutely there, who is very serious. So it's also something that you have to keep in mind. Yeah.
What are rents looking like in Lome in terms of, I guess, renting a whole house or maybe an apartment? Like how much
Uh,
are the locals paying?
the locals, it will be little shorter in term of the rent. It goes from, I would say in euros or US dollars, I would say from 80 US dollars to 200 US dollars for locals.
Okay.
But if you are a rich locals, or from the diaspora, or you have a European salary or Northam salary, you can have villa renting. You can rent a villa from 800 euros to 2,000 euros, for example. But it's a manor, like it's really a manor. Like, yeah, it's you can have some luxurious things there, and the locals sadly for now don't have the opportunity to live in this kind of thing. So they are renting houses from 80 to 200 euros per month.
Okay. And do you see an opportunity in some sort of cash flowing real estate business in Togo?
Yes, especially in Lomé, the capital. Yes, the city is growing. The city is growing. The population from the north is coming in masses to the south. The population is growing. The companies from the Asian companies and the European companies there are constantly growing as well. Lomé is becoming, I would say, an entrepreneur city, honestly. So, and entrepreneurship is something new in Africa for a lot of African people, especially in the French-speaking countries, where they used to tend to be workers, for example, simple workers. Right now, they want to invest, create, etc. Yes, so I would say in terms of real estate, the most interesting thing for you will be to look in Lomé, the capital. Um, and yes, there is things to do there. Honestly, a lot.
Nice. And so I guess you mentioned that the Chinese have a pretty big presence in
Yeah,
Togo and obviously in Africa in general.
in Africa in general, in Togo, you can have a lot of Chinese, Indians, and Europeans, uh, mostly French and Germans, because at first Togo was a German colony, then it became a French colony after the First War.
Mm.
Um, and yes, you can have a lot of French, Germans, and Indians and Chinese. China has a huge presence in Africa. Um, Very specific presence. For example, in Guinea, they are there for bauxite, special minerals, special resource. In Congo, in Kinshasa, around Kinshasa, they are there for different kind of resources. Not here to. They are not here by accident. They know what they are doing, and they just invest and take profit of it. So yeah,
Yeah. My understanding was that they're really expanding into other areas of the economy. Maybe this is in different countries where, they're starting to own electronic stores
yeah,
and supermarkets and stuff.
yeah. In Togo, for example, someone important in Togo, a Togolese woman, started to build supermarkets. So it's called Le Champion, the champion. You can have two or three of them in Lomé, the capital. You can have one of them in Kara, the second largest city in the country. Um, and it's cool for tourism, especially for Europeans, because their food is great. The African food is amazing, but sometimes you just like to uh, drink in a bottle of water, to have fresh food, fresh meat, etc., and cheese, for example, things like this.
Hmm.
Of course, sometimes the price are very far away from the real European price, but it's great. It's honestly a great thing that they are building supermarkets. So in Togo, yes, you have Le Champion, uh, who are becoming famous right now. In Cote d'Ivoire, you have a lot of supermarkets in Abidjan, because there is a lot of French people there. And in the English-speaking country, I know that in Nigeria, in Ghana, and in Kenya as well, there is a lot of supermarket, and it is growing. It is growing, and for tourism, and even for locals, for rich locals, it's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, cool. This all sounds great. Do you think is financing available at all from either French banks or from local African banks if you're looking to
Yeah.
reinvest in cash flow properties or
Well,
things like, or I don't know, different types of businesses?
yes. If you are from Europe or North America, it will be easier for you. Honestly, it's a fact. It will be easier for you because they think that you have more um, you are more able to be serious
Hmm.
sometime. And for example, in the French speaking country, in Africa, you have French banks. You have French banks, and you have also local banks, Togolese banks for Togo, for example. I know that if I want to have credit for building a house or anything, it's easy for me. I just have to go there, have a meeting with the bankman, and that's it, the banker, and that's it. Uh, and I know that sometime a Togolese with the same salary maybe won't have the same opportunity in the banks. So yeah, it's easier for Occidentals to have credit for houses, um, in term of in term of real estate there in Africa.
Okay. And one more time. So where are they going for the financing? Is it African banks or is it French banks?
You can go to African banks, major African banks. Like there is a bank. I won't say his name. I don't know if I can say it, but that that is known in the whole West African French-speaking countries in Africa, in a few countries, and they are totally open-minded about Occidentals going there. building homes, and they just are able to finance your credits.
And how do they do that if you don't have local income in the country? I guess like how much of a deposit do you have to put down? Are you putting down 20% or 50% or less?
Well, it can goes from honestly, it can goes from 20%, 15%, 10%, 15% to 20%. Um, and they just want to make sure that you will be there, uh, even for a few months per year, etc. Or they want to make sure that you have an interest in the country and in your project, that
Hmm.
you just don't want to build a house and then never go back. Yeah, but in Africa there is the law, the official laws, and there is people. When you speak with a banker, he can solve problems. So everything is negotiable. you know.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, that's pretty cool. And speaking of being there a couple months a year, and at this point, do you have any residency status in Togo, or is that something that you're looking into, becoming maybe a permanent resident?
Well, I have the passport, Togolese passport.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. Honestly, I will have it. It's on the way. It's on the way. I did the traditional wedding there, but in their law, they are considered the traditional wedding dot as official wedding, like us in the church or in the city office.
Yep.
So I know I met a guy a few days ago who told me that I am able to receive my Togolese passport, so I will receive it. So, guys, if you want Togolese passport, you can marry a Togolese woman, um, and also you can honestly in the law it's actually 12 years of staying there to get your passport, Togolese passport, right? But actually, it is negotiable. If you had a value to the country, etc., it is really negotiable. And I read a month ago that they are honestly they want to bring tourism there and entrepreneurs there, so they are changing the law actually right now to reduce it. So from 12 years of residency to go to acquire the nationality, it will go from what I read to 5 or 6 years. So it will be something very interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that. Damn, bro, hook me up. Hook me up.
Yeah.
Introduce
Of
me
course,
to.
I know the right ones.
And have you looked to doing anything with Senegal and maybe getting like a residency there?
No. It was really a tourism trip. Then I buy a land by, I would say, by opportunity and yes, sadly, Matt. Right now, I won't recommend Senegal for sadly for especially Dakar for a couple of months for political reasons. Sadly, because I won't say much, but yes, for the couple of months it will be tough for Senegalese people. Sadly, because their elections are pretty soon, and yes, we don't know what will happen.
No, that's still cool,
Yeah,
dude. The Togo passport thing. My God, that's because here's the
yeah,
thing is, and you should really highlight this more on your Twitter and the YouTube that you're building out. And by the way, we'll link it all up in the show notes. But the
sure,
residency and the passport options I think are very interesting because you
yeah,
have 54 countries in Africa. A bunch of them actually are also territorial tax systems, which means
yeah,
that like legally they could potentially be a decent tax residency for a lot of people,
yes,
especially Europeans. I couldn't give you the list, but I think it's maybe like Namibia, and I really forget. But
right,
a bunch of them are, and so it really could work for a lot of people. And just in terms of like cool plan Bs, that's a little bit out there, but for the real residency collectors, they would definitely be interested in reading about this stuff.
sure, sure, and it's moving right now. It's moving, and I won't be surprised that a few more countries in Africa will have an easy program about residency
Hmm.
in a few years.
Cool. How do you call like comment on dit quelqu'un de Togo? Togolais?
Togolais,
Okay.
and for the woman, Togolaise.
Togolaise. Okay. Cool,
Yes.
cool, cool. Very cool, man. So we've been going about 80 minutes now.
Yeah.
We definitely bounced around a bit. Is there anything that you think we should cover? Is there something that you really wanted to make sure that we touched upon in this conversation?
Yeah, just know that be conscious that the population in Africa in each country is growing. It is growing. So if you are making your first investment there, it can go, for example, from a land to an apartment or anything. For example, with the land, you just need to let the land grow, and the value will increase naturally increase due to the population growing.
Hmm.
So it's interesting move there. You have to be conscious of that. You have to be also conscious that there is a lot of trap that you can avoid by respecting the law, going to the city office, etc. If you respect the law in terms of real estate, it's like in Europe. The French-speaking countries in Africa have the same law in terms of real estate than France. And sometimes for some English-speaking in countries in Africa, they tend to have the same uh, British law than in Great Britain. So it is interesting to know, and yeah, and even for tourism, 54 countries. It's a lot of countries. You have a lot of different vibe in Africa. You have a lot of different landscapes and weather as well, because coming from the US, Canada, or anything, you can be scared of the weather there. But trust me, if you go to Congo, if you go to South Africa, you can have pretty similar weather that we have in Europe, for example. So
Yeah, the
it won't
weather's
be a
pretty good,
problem.
especially in the winter, right?
Yeah, right now it is the raining season in Togo, so rains there might scare you because it's more crazy. The rain is more crazy than in Europe. It's more aggressive, I would say.
Yeah, the tropical
Um,
rain.
Absolutely, it's like I would say it's similar to Asia sometime.
It's like a storm.
Absolutely, yes, it can scare you. Yeah,
Yeah, makes sense. And so I guess Togo, would it be fair to say that Togo and the French African countries follow the French civil law system?
absolutely. It was created, and since their independence, it was created and built on the French system. So for a lot of things regarding the laws, they are pretty similar in France and in these countries in Africa.
Okay, makes sense. So I guess the French African speaking countries follow the civil law system, and probably the English ones follow the Commonwealth
Absolutely,
system,
absolutely,
more or less.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. And so, yeah, you mentioned the traps. I know it's kind of like maybe late in the conversation because it's such a big topic. But what are some of the big traps to avoid in terms of investing in Africa?
Right. So the biggest trap is what we call double sales or triple sales sometimes.
Triple what?
Sales.
Sales. Oh, okay, where
Yes.
they sell the same
Yes.
property like two, three times.
Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
And especially if one of the owner is in Europe or in North America and he is not present there, so he can sell it easily to a Togolese guy or to an African guy from there, present there,
Hmm.
and then from a guy from the diaspora, for example, and only one guy will be present and will, grow food and vegetables or build something in this land. And sadly, sometimes you have people coming back to Africa to see their land that they bought, and you have things growing there, things growing there, but it's not yours. So then you have to go to the city office. That's what I said. You have to buy it in the official way. Go to the city office, etc., with the notary. You have to you have to be official, very official, and conscious of this. And if there is a problem about this, a trouble like this, you have to go to the city office, and everything will be cleaned, it will be yours, and that's it. But it's one of the biggest trap in terms of, yes, investing there. Of course, do not send money to the internet without meeting the person. Of course, sometime I spoke to French people who said I don't want to invest to Africa because I get scammed. I send money to Africans and then they blocked me or they didn't respond. I
Mhm.
say yes, but of course you don't have to be no dumb like this. Like it's a trap, of course. But it's easy to make easy and safe deals in Africa as long as you respect the law, meet the right people in the city office, etc. Then you can start to build your network and avoid these kind of traps. So the major traps is this: the double sales and the triple sales. Um,
Okay.
yes, and sometimes you have to make sure that there is no debt.
The DA,
In
the debt. That's I think
yeah,
that's pretty common everywhere. Tell me
yeah,
about the city office because we've talked about it. I think you've mentioned it like 5 times.
yeah,
Go to the city office, but it must be a hilarious experience going to the city office. And like maybe pin us the picture, but you walk in
sure.
and you're
All
like,
right.
I want to buy a house, blah blah blah. Here's the one I'm looking at, and
Oh, crazy.
oh my
Yeah.
god,
First off, you go to city office in the city that you want to buy your land. Then you want to say, you have to say, I want to meet the notary guy or the mayor sometime
uh huh.
because I want to buy your land in this city. They will be surprised, honestly, if you are from Europe or Northam. And it will say, okay, right. They give you a plan of the city, and they say to you, where do you want to buy this land? Where this land is for sale? Can you show us where? And on the map that they are showing us, they can find the exact part where the land is for sale. Then on the map, it's interesting because you can really see if the land for
Right,
sale
because they have like the blueprint of
is
the
at the right
city.
place. Absolutely,
Okay.
it's at the right place. Then you can find the notary guy in the city office, and he will take you on his motorcycle bike,
The
and you
notary
go,
guy.
yeah, notary guy, yes, and then you go to the land, and you say yes, this land is at the right place, there is no debt, etc. Right now I can contact the seller if you want. You contact the seller, you are making the deal, the money deals, um, in front or in the city office, but in front of the mayor or in front of the notary guy. Then you of course sign papers, etc. The notary guy also will put your name on the land in the papers, but also physically on the land. Like you will put a square or a wall if you want to pay for a wall, with your name on it.
Saying what?
Uh,
Saying like this
it's your
property
family
is in
name. Yeah.
process or after the
Uh,
sale.
Actually, it's yes. You can say it's for it is sold, but mostly it's just they are putting your family name on it.
After or during.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it during or
Um,
after that they do that?
after
Okay,
when
so it's just like
you have paid,
vendu.
etc.
Okay.
Yes, vendu
Okay.
with your family name of it,
Okay.
and that's it. Yes, so you have to make sure that this notary guy is from a city office because sometimes there is some independent notary guy uh, who are not really professional. Um, then I don't know the English word for it, but the geometer guy,
The what?
geometry, the man from in the city office, who who can make who can show you on the plans on the map where the land is, etc. Is
Okay, yeah,
working
yeah.
side by side with the notary guy. Um,
Yeah,
and
the
these the
oh man, I wish I knew the word. People listening will know, but it's like
yeah.
the surveyor.
Okay. So this guy can work side by side with the notary guy from the city office, and his help is precious. So yes, then you can honestly, if you buy a land in a little city in Africa, the mayor can invite you to a party. Honestly, it happens to me one time.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy. Then they bring champagne, beer, etc. So yeah,
Is
it's
it the
crazy.
same as the like an arpenteur? Isn't that the another word for it?
In France, we say géomètre.
Okay, okay.
Geometer,
Yeah, I think
geometer.
it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And are you? I guess you're like paying from the minute you step into the mayor's office, and they're saying, "Hey, we can do the meeting. We can look at the land. We can look at the
It can
the
take
loanership.
weeks.
Blah blah blah."
You can have your first visit, and then you can have a double visit if you want
Yeah.
to make sure that the land is right for you, etc. Um, you pay with witness around you, so you can bring your witness. You can have two witnesses with you, and the seller has two witnesses with him, and there is a notary guy or the mayor. It's mostly the notary guy, and you can pay cash, and they are counting that it's the right number, etc. And that's it. And based from that, you can sign papers that this land is sold to Mister. That's it, and based from that, the land is yours. And then the notary guy will go back with you when the transaction is finished. It will go back to with you with to the land, and it will put your family name on it. And it's the moment, if you have enough money, to put a wall on it to make sure that there is no squatters or anything. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Have you ever heard a story where people like buy land and then they show up or something, and it's like, what land?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, it happens. It happens every time, honestly. Yeah. Sometimes there is people in France from the diaspora.
Hmm.
uh, they are owners of land in Africa, but they are not aware of it. So they discover, going back to the country of their ancestors, they are saying, "Oh, but you have lands there," and so they are very surprised, etc. So some of them are selling them, some of them prefer to give them to the families there, and but right now the new trend is to build little shops in these kind of lands, like they're opening little shops, barber shops, things like this. It's a huge trend from the diaspora in France right now.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. And when you're back in Paris, like we were talking about how you just got in today, um, do you try to visit like Togolese restaurants and stuff like that? And
Yeah, we have two. Togo is a little country in Africa in terms of population and on the map in terms of size. We There is only 8 million Togolese in this country, so it's not a lot, and it's less than the Paris and the Paris region populations. So there is two Togolese restaurants in Paris, but the Togolese food is similar to other Western African foods.
mhm.
So there is a lot of African restaurants in Paris, in a suburb of Paris. Of course, if you never eat your African food, said that you don't want to eat spicy, because trust me, their spicy is so powerful that I just want to avoid it. I'm not used to it. And their food is delicious. Mostly, their food is delicious. And in Paris, yes, I am able to. Um, yeah, I am able to buy African products and food and go to restaurants there in African restaurants.
Mhm. Is there really only two Togolese restaurants in Paris?
Yeah, in the city of Paris there is two.
That's
One
seems
called
low.
Le 228, 228. It's the phone number of Togo. So this one, and there is another one in the south of Paris. Yes, but we have an African. Whole part of Paris was African. It's called Chateau Rouge. Chateau Rouge. It's an African neighborhood in Paris, and you can find anything from Africa there. Like if you want any, yeah, like if you want any products from Africa, you can go there and you have it.
Hey guys, quick interruption to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill is the best way to convert your crypto into gift card balances. These are gift cards that you can spend at hotels.com, Airbnb, Nike, and many more. You may remember Joel Valenzuela, previous podcast guest. He's been living on crypto exclusively since 2015, and he's a big consumer of BitRefill. And so I asked Joel, I said, what do you like most about BitRefill? He said that he likes the instant delivery, the precise amount so that you don't have to juggle a lot of gift cards, and he loves the global selection. Nobody else has this much selection of gift cards, over 10,000 gift card options across hundreds of countries. Go to bitrefill.com to sign up, and you can also use the code MyLatinLife for 10% back off your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. Yeah. Man, I should have asked this way earlier in the episode to get some engagement, but I guess we'll kind of end off the episode with this. What are some of your favorite aspects of being in Africa? Like what feels different? What makes you feel alive? Like what do you really, really enjoy about Africa?
Um, freedom, the freedom of anything. Of course, you have to be respectful about regarding the laws, the countries, the people, etc. But with the people, there is a freedom of speech with the people. You can talk about anything. They are very open-minded. Um, it's way more relaxed than Europe. It's way more relaxed. Um, the weather as well, of course. I think the weather play a great role uh, in your mental vibe, etc. You can be more happy with the sun 24/7, etc. So I like the way that people are way more relaxed in Africa. The freedom, because honestly, if I want to drive my pickup and go to the countryside in Africa and just hiking or just fishing extra, I am able to do it. Yeah, Africa, like, it's honestly, it's not another continent, it's another world, honestly.
It's hard to describe. It's easy to say
Yeah.
freedom and the weather, but it really doesn't describe it. You know what I mean? I have the same
Mm.
trouble with Latin America and really kind of capturing the essence, and I bet it's similar in that sense.
Yes, and I would say, so, honestly, the most important thing there are the people. The people, when you know them, they want to know about you. Like, really, are you good? Are you okay? Do you need anything? And so sometimes these people don't have a lot of things, honestly, in their life, but they are taking care of you. Like, they are really interested about you. You can have great human exchange with them, talks with them, and they are showing you a new way of thinking. Like, sometimes, as I said in the first hour, um, I don't have any problems. I thought I have problems, uh, like a lot of French protesting, etc. In France. But speaking with Africans and seeing the life in Africa, I said to myself, no, I won't complain ever in my whole life right now,
Mm.
because these people changed my point of view and my way of thinking about life. Like, I know that, for example, just having a car is is a gift. Like, or just having a house and food, it's a gift. It's a powerful, luxurious gift. And yes, it's relaxed and people are very philosophical.
Mm.
Yeah.
What makes you and this is another thing I kind of want to capture the essence of. What makes you not feel free in France where you feel that freedom when you're in Africa?
Well, speaking with the people in France, when you are speaking with the people, you don't want to say something that will make him bad. Like, um, in Africa, you can talk about anything with the people, really anything, and it won't be hurt. It won't be hurt because you can talk about anything. And in France, you don't want to be the bad guy in a conversation, or sometime if you talk about business, for example, in France, if you talk about money, deeply about money, it is bad seen. It is seen as something bad to talk about money. In Africa, you can talk about money, you can talk about anything. And yeah, it's more, people are more free in their mindset. Like, even if they are not thinking the same way as you. They are respecting you. You are respecting them, and you can make great talks with them and learn from them. In France, you just want to just don't want to talk about certain things with the people, like business, for example, because in France, like if you are making 5,000 euros per month, for example, a lot of people will say, "Oh, you're a liar," or "Oh, you're stealing money," etc. Yeah. So yeah, I think sometimes we are in a cell in our mind in France, because of the media, etc. Um, and in Africa, you don't have this. You know, you can talk about anything, and people have a deep way um, of thinking. They know about life for sure. They know about how life. They can give you precious talks. Just just if you talk 2 or 3 minutes with them, they can have a precious philosophical message for you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely a very different relationship with money.
yeah, absolutely. Yes, in France, it's it's one thing that I that I escape with France, honestly. Because yes, talking about business and making, even honestly, France is hell for entrepreneurs. Because it is a very tax country. It's mostly, if you count all the taxes that we have, it's mostly that it's more than 80% of taxes. And if you're a millionaire, it's really something more. Like yeah, so yeah, that's why our biggest entrepreneurs are not living in France, or they are moving to Switzerland, Luxembourg, or anywhere in the world where they are more respected. Um, yes, so in Africa, and in Africa as well, there is something interesting, is that you can feel by being there the opportunity around you. You can be aware that you can build this new shop there. You can open this new swimming pool or anything. You feel like you can do anything in Africa. It's in your hand, honestly.
Hmm.
And in Europe, there is too much low taxes, etc., especially in France. So yes, sadly in Paris, the vibe of the people in their mindset, they are not really happy. We are the most people who take medical,
Antidepressants or something.
yeah, antidepressant, of course, yes,
Yeah.
yes, in the world, I think, yeah. So yes,
Yeah, that's
I just
crazy.
want to say to the French, honestly, if you want to change your mindset, go to Africa. Just even a week, it will change your mindset.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I was just in Malta and I was hanging out with a whole big
Mm.
group of French entrepreneurs. Actually,
Yeah.
I have a buddy that's Swiss, and all his buddies are French, and they're all like crypto guys.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and it was a good squad, and it was like 20 of them really, and they were all entrepreneurs working online, and it just makes sense. Like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're French, like you got to get the hell out of there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. Sometime people, entrepreneurs, decide to stay in France. But it's really a minority. It's really a minority because, of course, there is things in Africa from France that I miss a lot, like food,
Mm.
French food, cheese. But when sometime in Africa I put the TV on and I saw the French TV channel, I say, oh, I know why I left France. Because yes, they are protesting, etc. Yeah, they are protesting, taking antidepressants, etc. Yes, so it's really we are not really aware of it when you are in France. Um, but when you are going to other places, you feel like the people are way more peaceful in their mindsets. So yeah, France is hell for entrepreneurs. Even if your friends, even with your friends, you can talk. You cannot talk about money. Um, that's why I respect the English mentality. Oh, it's weird that I say that as a French, but the English and the American mentality about business, because they are really open-minded about money. They can talk about money with you very frankly, and I respect that.
Because the average French salary is actually quite low, right?
Yeah, it's around 1,500 euros per month.
That's insane. How do they live on that?
They protest. they they survive and then they protest, and then it's a cycle. But really, in France, in our mindset, we think that we can have the power and a better life by listening and by listening to the government. They just want Macron to do some better things for us, and I I decided to think by myself and create my life by myself instead of uh, waiting for the government to help me, because it will. And for a lot of French, they are waiting the government, and sometimes they are talking bad about the government, etc. And they are totally right now. Um, but yes, their life is a prison, honestly, in their mindset, and they are not aware of it. Like, for example, when you are a plumber, like you are a plumber guy in France, you are making 1,500 euros per month.
Plumber. Okay, yeah.
Yes, and you know that maybe in America and the US, a plumber is making three, four, 5,000 per month, maybe.
Maybe 10,000.
Right? Oh my God! Wow, you feel depressed when you are aware of it. You feel depressed, like you are working a lot, etc. Um, you have a lot of taxes, and you cannot sometimes buy a house as a plumber guy, or because you don't have enough credit either in at banks, etc. So it's really a cycle of depression in France. I think Paris is beautiful, but Paris is also very dirty, and yeah, it's. I think Paris, you have the Eiffel Tower, then you have the rest. Honestly, yes, sadly, I grew up there. Um, I just, yeah, Paris. Avoid Paris. Honestly, if you want to visit France, avoid Paris. Go to the countryside.
Hmm.
Go to Normandy, to the south. Yeah, and avoid talking about money. And if you want to have a French friend, criticize the government, and it will be your friend. So this mindset is not really the best one to grow as an entrepreneur. Yeah. So that's why a lot of people in France are moving to Malta, of course, Malta a lot, to Eastern Europe a lot, where they have a better life, more traditional life with more traditional values for them. And me, I choose Africa by opportunity because I met my girlfriend who was originally from there, and I discovered a continent where people were very more open-minded than the French one.
Dude, super cool. I think that's a great place to end it. I think it
Yeah,
very much parallels the experience that we have in Canada and the United States in a lot of ways, and I'm sure people are resonating with it a little bit. So, thank you for Gaetan for taking the time
de rien, de rien. Merci.
to take the time to share us the French and the African perspective, because I think it really has a lot of parallels with the North American versus Latin American perspective. And yeah, man, let's definitely keep in touch, keep supporting each other.
Right.
And I really want to keep watching what you're doing in terms of growing your presence online, because I enjoy learning about it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Cool, man. So why don't you take this time and just tell the audience where you'd like to direct them? Tell them your Twitter handle, tell them about your
Yeah.
YouTube channel, everything you
So,
got going on.
so I have my Twitter account, Gaetan Bizafrique. Gaetan Bizafrique. Maybe you can add it in the comments
Yep.
of the video. I have my new YouTube channel also. It's in French, but I think I will create content in English as well. Gaetan Business Afrique. It's my new YouTube channel, and I have my private community on Discord when where we are making deals and businesses in Africa. Um, so yes, it's on the link of my Twitter bio. So yes, you can follow me on these social medias.
Sick, man. Yeah, of course, we're going to link everything up. I would say, yeah, definitely do a little bilingual if you can. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, yeah, I think the American audience and Canadian audience will be very interested as well. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, man, dude. Thank you for coming on and telling us all about your experience. It was definitely cool to catch up, and the fact that we got to kind of record it and make a podcast out of it, all the better. Um, yeah, I guess let's leave it at that. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, this episode has been with Gaetan from Business en Afrique, Business in Africa. Merci, mon gars. Thank you so much for joining
Merci
us.
beaucoup, merci à toi. Prends soin de toi. Take care. Bye.